Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back to another episode. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about business, but not just any kind of business. We're going to be talking about informal business and what does all that mean and how you can start your own informal business and turn it into a formal business. So how you can do business, how you can work out here. We're going to be talking about all that and everything in between. All right. So again, if you're interested in making money or starting a business or working for somebody or whatever it is you're interested in, stay tuned so you can find out what you need and how to do it. All right. So let's just get right into it. Let's get into the nitty gritty. Who needs a work permit or a work visa? Okay, so if you are on a tourist visa and you find a nice hotel or a nice engineering job or an amazing coding job that you might want to do that is located in Mexico, well then you simply, apply for the job. If you get the job, and you let them know that you're a foreigner, they will then get you a work visa. Okay, and then that work visa will allow you to stay longer than your tourist visa. All right, and it will allow you to work for that company, and that's it. You don't really got to worry about anything else when it comes to even taxes or what have you, because they'll take care of all that for you. Okay, now let's say that you're here on a tourist visa, all right, and you want to start a small informal business. Well, again, if you want to start an informal business or any kind of business, you do need to have a work permit or a work visa. All right. So you would have to apply for that and get that. Now, there are, things in Mexico that allow you to, let's say, conduct business or do certain things without 100,000% complying with the said law, because again, Constitution is what is really in power here. So, okay, with that being said, the reality is that according to even the law, you are allowed, as a Mexican, as someone in Mexico, to conduct business, all right, without any problems for the first few months until you eventually figure it out. And eventually you would have to get your permits, your licenses, whether it's a business license or a work permit or what have you. So in your case out there, if you're on a tourist visa, of course, it makes it, a lot more difficult because you're still here as a tourist, but you can, in a sense, figure out a way in which you can, have a job sponsor you, all right, so you can get your work visa, or get a job with a Mexican company, which again, as the dollar keeps depreciating and the peso keeps appreciating, it is actually to a lot of people's benefit out there to actually get jobs in Mexican pesos these days. I keep hearing more and more of individuals out there, that are working for Mexican companies and making really good money in Mexican pesos. All right, or at least a very similar or comparable rate to what they would be getting paid in dollars or euros or whatever. So again, look into that. Now, I'm not the job expert, but you can, again, figure out if this is, what the needs are for this country. If you already know that this is a country that's growing exponentially and basically they need everything. And I just told you right now that the last job I was talking about was coding. So imagine, all kinds of other jobs, that are available out there. But with that being said, let's say that you are on a temporary residency visa. If you're on a temporary residency visa, you still need to get a work permit. Again, the work permit, you need it even if you're going to just start a small business. Even it doesn't mean that the work permit is not just only for working for somebody, all right, or working at a job, but you need it to start a small business. Now, again, back to the caveat of what I was saying earlier, in Mexico, you can actually start a business and they give you again, I don't know the exact amount of time, but they give you like a leeway. They give you like a grace period, an amount of time in which you can conduct business without getting any paperwork. Again, it doesn't matter, no business license, no nothing. You can just conduct small business, meaning let's say that you're baking cakes or muffins or donuts out of your, kitchen in your house. Again, you're not going to need anything required of anything until many months down the line, and eventually the authorities or you yourself, the authorities figure it out, and then they just come and they tell you, hey, we see that you've been conducting business for 3 months, or They'll simply say, hey, look, we noticed that you're a new business out here, so we're going to give you 3 months from today in order for you to get your paperwork together. And that paperwork will depend on you. So if, let's say, you're a permanent resident or a Mexican citizen, that paperwork might be simply a business license and your tax ID. But let's say that you are a temporary resident or even on a tourist visa or whatever, they're simply going to say, okay, look, you need to get a work permit or a work visa. You also need to get a business license. You also need to get your RFC and, pay taxes. And I can go on, depending on your situation. It will depend on what you need to get. But, there's a lot of misconceptions out there as to what it is to start a small business and if you can even start a small business. So, from I've done other videos and I've talked about this topic before, and I keep constantly educating myself on this subject. But for me, I'm a permanent resident and soon to be, eventually a citizen. So for me, I'm not really too worried about this because I don't need a work permit at all. I can work. I'm basically a Mexican already. But everyone else, I think most of you guys out there, you'll be lucky, to maybe have a temporary residency visa. But some of you guys are going to be still on a tourist visa, or again, you'll be trying to maybe get a work visa, but you don't even know how to get a work visa. But the reality is that even no matter what your situation is that you can conduct business out here and you can work out here. You just need to get the proper paperwork, which is really not that difficult. Like I said, the easiest way to do it is just basically, get a job, with a Mexican company. And then with that company, they'll just, immediately not just get you the proper paperwork, but they'll pay for it because you also have to pay for it, which the last time I checked is 4,000 pesos to get that permit. Okay. I don't know if the visa is the same price or not, but yes, it's 4,000 pesos, okay? So, by the way, I think from now on, I'm going to be just talking in pesos, not just in this episode, but going forward to make it even easier for you guys to understand, because, a lot of these things are not really changing price in pesos, but they are changing price when you are talking about it in dollars or euros or whatever. So, again, in this episode, but future episodes, I think we're just going to go with pesos, so that way you guys can just kind of do your own math, because it will be changing constantly as the months and years go on. And so when I'm talking about, informal business, I'm talking about, the way that Mexico works and is structured. Remember, it is not your home country. You're not in Europe. You're not in the USA or Canada. So things are very different out here. I know I'm already going to get a lot of things in the comment section saying, oh my God, that's illegal. Oh my God, the taxes. Oh my God, you're not doing this right. You're not in Mexico. You know what I mean? Mexico's a completely different country than your country. In your country, you're right. You do have to comply with so many things, and otherwise you get shut down. You might get arrested, all these horrible things. But out here, it's not like that at all. You have to have egregious, crimes, for you to get arrested. Even when it comes to conducting business, a lot of times, there's a lot of local stories in the local news of people in downtown, like Chinese people that have come and they set up shop, and they're there for a bunch of months, and then one day out of the blue, they're getting shut down, boarded up, and the whole place is closed down. No one's getting arrested, no one's getting deported, no one's getting really in trouble per se, but they are getting in trouble, meaning that they closed their shop. That's going to cost them a lot of money. They now got to pay fines. They now got to get the right paperwork and all this other stuff. And by that time that the government gets to that point to do something like that, it's because you not only have you not listened, but you're just doing whatever you want and thinking that they're not going to enforce anything. And then obviously they are going to get insulted, and they're going to start enforcing something, because you got to pay somebody, especially if you're going to be conducting big business like that, like a big store in the middle of downtown selling all kind of Chinese knickknacks, all the Chinese crap that we love and we get from the dollar store or whatever. But look, at the end of the day, the laws, the rules, the regulations, they're not as strict out here as they are where you come from. You can have your own business, without a permit. Again, worst case scenario, like I said, they fine you, or they just simply alert you of your illegal status or your illegal practice. And, again, they'll just tell you to stop cease and desist, selling, or cease and desist doing your business while you get your things ready because you haven't listened to us. But most of the time, they're going to allow you, again, it's very rare, you may be on a tourist visa and you're conducting big business, okay? That's really when they're going to shut you down and say no. But for the most part, they're not really going to say much, they're just going to instruct you and let you know what you need to do in order to get legal, so you can pay your taxes, so you can, do your business and not have a problem. And in many cases, they're going to allow you to conduct business while you're doing that. Meaning that, again, you're conducting, a small little business selling, again, cupcakes, whatever, from Facebook. And eventually it grows a little bit where you're selling it maybe a little storefront out of the front of your house. And, eventually, like I said, as it kind of grows, eventually, maybe, and you don't get no paperwork, you don't get no nothing, eventually one day they're going to come a knocking. A lot of times, it's not until you're like, it's very blatant, that you not only have a business, but you've been doing business for a while and all this other stuff. And then at some point, someone that works for the government is going to be like, hey, how come this person isn't registered? And then that's it. So, but it's not the insanity that you would be finding in your home country. So it's a lot more open and safe and free for you to start your business because, again, at the very least, you can have and start your business, and you have like a big grace period, depending on where you're at. But the grace period allows you to have and conduct business while you get your proper paperwork because out here in Mexico, they don't expect you to, let's say that you want to sell, I don't know, tacos on the street, okay? And they, when you're an entrepreneur and starting business, a lot of times you don't know that that's what you're going to end up doing. A lot of times you go out there, sell tacos, and you'll be very successful and you'll continue selling tacos forever. But you might go out there, sell tacos for a little bit, and then decide, damn, I don't know if this is right for me. I don't want to sell tacos. I think I want to just open up a fruit stand and just sell fruit. That's a lot easier for me to just stand there and cut up some fruit, sell the fruit, as opposed to, selling and making food, which is a lot more difficult. Or maybe I was like, hey, I want to sell real estate now. Whatever. I don't know, whatever it is you want to do. So they don't expect you to, to get all of the paperwork and licenses and pay the taxes and all this other stuff on something that you might not be doing in a few months. That you might change your mind and say, hey, I don't want to do this. Or, hey, the business failed. It didn't work. So I'm going to move on to something else. So that's why they give you like a large grace period, On top of that, for a lot of you guys out there that have studied Mexico and know that Mexico is a country of the haves and the have-nots. And, yes, that gap is closing and there's more of a middle class each and every day. And the middle class is growing. But at the end of the day, the Mexican government also works that way, in which, if you are, very rich and elite and, of a certain level, you get a certain rights and, certain access to credit, the system, the government, paperwork, all this other stuff. And the poorer you are, the less access you have to all of that. The less access you have to the bureaucracy, to getting a license, to getting your, to have the ability to start a business or do anything. So throughout the years, the decades, it's been, basically almost 100 years now, Mexico has still needed to, again, move forward, and conduct business, conduct capitalism so that they can live, whether it's sell tacos or wash your clothes or, again, fix your car, whatever it is. All these businesses still needed to happen. So even though they weren't really able to, get any kind of the proper paperwork because of the corrupt system, the bad system, the inept government system, the people have taken upon themselves throughout the decades, to just do business and conduct informal business. And that's why you'll see many places, okay, that, let's say, a taco stand or a place that washes clothes or a guy that fixes computers, or I can go on and on, that have been there for years, maybe decades, and they don't have any kind of license or any kind of business, anything, or maybe just like the most minimal thing, because again, they've never really had the need to get anything. And then when they needed to get something, just like some government official kind of saying, hey, you have to do XYZ or else. And that's basically it. And so that's what a lot of Mexicans end up doing. A lot of Mexicans just end up, doing business, doing their thing, not worrying about the man or the government or anything like that, because there's no real need, because again, the smaller the business you are, the less the government or the officials or the authority really cares. And so the reality is that eventually, you know what I mean? What most Mexicans end up doing is they just conduct their business, do their thing, because most of the time it's just a small business, a small little thing, and they don't have to worry about anything. And then if at some point, okay, for whatever reason, some government official, some police officer, whatever, I don't know, because I don't even know if a police officer is the one that enforces this. I think it's just a government official, the ones that enforce these things, okay? Because again, I don't think police even have authority to enforce anything like this. But long story short, some sort of enforcement wing of the government comes and lets you know that you need to get your proper paperwork in a certain amount of time, and that's it. And then when that time comes, that's when most people just end up complying, and that grace period, might be 3 years, not 3 weeks or 3 months or whatever, So, that's like the real reality of when it comes to practicing informal business and how, the rules, the regulations, the laws, all that stuff works out here. Now, let's talk about people out there that might be a digital nomad, or they might have, let's say, an online business that is all basically done and conducted online. Let's say that you sell, again, you work online and you sell services online, you sell packages online, or I don't know, there's a million digital products that you could sell. Or you're a digital nomad. Let's say you work, you're in Mexico, but you're working for an American company, a German company, a company in Antarctica, whatever. It doesn't matter. None of these people, if you're not conducting actual business in Mexico, you got nothing to worry about. So again, it doesn't matter if you're on a tourist visa, no visa, temporary visa, whatever it is visa you're at. If you are basically working out of your computer, okay, or you work for a company in which it's not in Mexico, there's no commerce or any kind of business done in Mexico, then you have absolutely nothing to worry about when it comes to permits, work permits, work licenses, business license, taxes, none of that. There's no taxes to be paid. And so I know, again, down in the comment section, down in the peanut gallery, I already know I'm going to get people talking about the taxes as well. Oh, you got to pay taxes. Or if you're an immigrant, you're an expat, if you're a foreigner, you got to pay taxes. You got to pay taxes. Listen. I agree. You know what I mean? We do pay taxes every day. Whenever you buy anything, there's a thing called EVA, and basically anything that you buy out there, any kind of transaction that you do, there's EVA. So there's taxes you're constantly paying, and it's expensive. This is 16%, I think, or more. But it's, you're paying that amount of tax on basically everything. So you're getting taxed, and we're paying taxes, right? Don't, especially if you're stimulating the economy, right? But when it comes to the other form of taxes, which is, again, the taxes that come from working or income or whatever, well, listen, that's, that is not the problem of the foreigner, okay, that they cannot pay taxes. There's no avenue, there's no law, there's no rule or regulation or anything like that in Mexico that says you have to pay tax. There's nothing. There isn't. No, there isn't. You can go, if there is, please put it down in the comment section. Please inform the audience. But long story short, it's not just in Mexico, it's basically any country, because again, the digital space is something else. But we're not even talking about the digital space. Again, we've already talked about the fact that, again, if you're going to work in Mexico, you need the permit and all this other stuff. Well, then you're also going to be paying taxes. If you're conducting business in Mexico, you're going to be paying taxes, so on and so forth. But if your business has nothing to do with Mexico, all right, meaning that you just happen to live in Mexico, but your business is either in cyberspace or in another country, or your company, the company you work for, again, is in cyberspace or headquartered outside of Mexico, then guess what? You do not pay taxes. There is no, legal precedent for you to pay taxes. There's no law. There's no rule or regulation. There's no nothing. There's nothing that says, you have to pay taxes at all. And on top of that, there's no avenue or portal or way for you to even pay taxes, okay? So yes, you can get your RFC and you can register with the SAT. You can register with the Mexican IRS, the Mexican tax, enforcement agency, the Mexican tax, bureau, whatever government situation. But long story short, if there's nothing for you to pay tax on, there's nothing for you to pay tax on. Does that make sense? So that's the thing. So many people come from these countries, again, Europe, USA, Canada, and then they come out here and all they want to do is pay taxes to Mexico. Oh my God, why aren't you paying taxes? Why is it like, my question to them is like, why aren't you paying taxes? And if you are paying taxes, who are you paying taxes to? Because there's nowhere to pay taxes to. You know what I mean? Again, you're out here on your retirement. That's money that's coming from the USA is non-taxed. How are they taxing that? Who's taxing that? Mexico has no legal right to tax it. And if you're making income that is not in Mexico, you're making income from somewhere else that's nowhere near here. There's no income tax. There's no tax for them to. There's no way for them to tax your income. There's no law. There's no nothing. There's no way. So that's the thing. I want to kind of clear that up in this video too, because I know there's a lot of people out there that do have, businesses online. They have some drop shipping or Amazon thing or what have you. And all I have to say is that as long as your business is not physically in Mexico, as long as you're not physically doing anything in Mexico, you're not really in any kind of tax bracket or tax. You don't need to be in any kind of you don't need to be in any kind of tax compliance. So again, let's say that you let's say you have some sort of shipping Amazon kind of situation. You got products and you ship them out of Mexico, then yes, there you got to pay taxes, because you are literally in Mexico and physically sending items out of Mexico, shipping out of Mexico. So yeah, you would have to pay taxes. But let's say that your whole business is online and it's all shipping out of an Amazon warehouse in the USA. What taxes are you paying for? What? For what? Okay. And especially if you look, the only way that any one of you guys would ever really need to be paying taxes on anything you do is if you're a Mexican citizen. But if you are a resident and only a resident and you have an actual U.S. address, okay, so you got an address, a physical address in the USA, in Canada, you have a physical address outside of here, okay? And basically, everything runs through that and you're paying your taxes there and you're doing everything through there, then there's absolutely nothing really, outside of you actually having a business, a physical business in Mexico in which you would need to be taxed on, or there's no real tax liability here. You follow what I'm saying? But you would have to pay taxes to the USA. You better pay taxes to the USA. So that's the thing. And if when people, talk about taxes out here, what they really should be talking about is that, the fact that, you need to be taxed. And so if you do any kind of anything and you're an American, you're going to be taxed and you need to do your taxes and you got to make sure that you do your taxes and all that good stuff. Okay. And do them accordingly, do them whatever. But long story short is that, the only one you should be worried about paying taxes to is the USA. Okay. Now, if you're Canadian, European, whatever, I don't know what your tax laws, rules, regulations are. But again, that is the only one you really need to be worried, about. Again, especially if the company is abroad. Okay. But, at the end of the day, if you're a freelancer, you're doing any kind of anything like that, you really got nothing to worry about. Again, if you're even conducting business out here, whatever it is, your business is services, baking cupcakes, whatever it is, again, they already explained to you what you need to do in order to comply and what you can do and what you cannot do. So basically, again, just an overview, the smaller the business, the less likely you got to comply with anything. The bigger the business, the more likely you got to comply. So basically, by the time that you have a storefront, okay, that you have, whether it's the storefront is your house, okay, again, it's still considered very, informal, okay? But let's say that you have, an actual storefront. You turn the front of your house into a storefront, or you're renting a location for a storefront for a business. Okay, yeah, at that point, you got to comply with everything, literally. There's no way to get around it. Again, you can probably start off not having to comply, but you're going to have to comply very quickly. Okay, within, like I said, a few months in order for you to really conduct business without getting shut down, okay, or getting a fine or getting in any kind of trouble in that sense, all right? But long story short, if all you're doing is small business, okay, like super small informal business, you really got not much to worry about until you grow, because again, you got to remember that, when you're out here, and especially if you're looking to live out here, you're looking to reside out here, you're looking to, make Mexico your home for the future. And remember, you're not getting your residency through financial solvency because you can't afford it. Well, then it means you got to work for it. You got to be a part of the economy. So again, the government's not going to really look at it that bad either, because again, you're going to get in trouble for what? Working to try to make a living. So in order for you to get residency, so you can become an actual, real immigrant, no, I mean, come on, remember, Mexico's a very different place. It's not as strict and as cold and heartless when it comes to, enforcement of laws, rules, and regulations. And at the end of the day, back to the Constitution, their Constitution is really law. And, under the Constitution, you could basically do whatever you want. I mean, again, freedom. I don't want to get into it, but again, if you want more info, you can read it yourself or even read the American Constitution, okay? You get a little refresher on that whole situation. But that's the thing. At the end of the day, this is all part of all the freedom that I'm always talking about out here in Mexico, where basically, as long as you have the will, the want, the desire to make things happen, whether it's, get your residency, start a business, survive, whatever it is, you'll be able to do it out here, because this is the land of a lot of survivors. Everyone out here is a survivor, and they're inching and clawing all the way up to the top. And, everyone out here works very hard for what they got, and a lot of them have a lot of fruits to their labor. So you want to come out here, again, you better make sure that you are willing to, again, put in that work. And if you go on ahead and put in that work, that's part of assimilating. So the government, the Mexicans themselves, the people, and no one's going to look at it like a bad thing. They're going to look at it like, yeah, that's right, we like this gringo, or we like this foreigner, So that's it. That's really all you got to kind of worry about. The fact that you don't got to worry about so much. You just got to be informed and be armed with the proper knowledge. And again, going back to learning Spanish and having Spanish at your disposal, at having it in your utility belt, right? That you can, constantly use in order to, again, protect your rights. And, again, know about all these things, because again, you can call me on my bull crap, assuming that everything I'm saying is not true. And you can look it up yourself in the Mexican laws, in the Mexican, government websites, and I can go on and on. All right. So, the reality is that, again, the Mexican government is a very open government, even though it's a small and inept government. They do work, and they're basically, in a sense, working for the people. And when it doesn't work for the people, that's it. It's just broken, and then the people just move on and do their thing. And that's the beauty of Mexico. And again, it's not for everybody, but there's a lot of people out there that, when they watch these videos, it's a lot of welcome news, and they feel very happy because they feel like, oh man, you know what I mean? There is a chance. I can go out there and make it happen. Again, don't be thinking you can come out here and not put a drop of work or effort into anything, because it's not going to end up well for you. I'm telling you. You're going to end up, going back to where you came from with the tail between your legs. But if you're, a survivor, you have been through the struggle, again, this ain't no big thing. You're looking forward to the challenge. You have a lot of things to bring to the table. And I can go on and on. Then, this is, again, all music to your ears. And, you can find yourself in a very, very happy zone, in a very, very happy place out here in Mexico. And like I said, the more of an effort you make in order to not just assimilate, but to be part of this whole beauty that is the Mexican culture, the Mexican country, and just everything out here, man, the better is going to go for you. And this video is for everyone out there that is not retired, because there's a lot of people that are looking to move to Mexico and they're not retired, and they don't know how to move to Mexico or what they can do when they come out here. And again, you got to remember that even if you're thinking about coming out here and just being a digital nomad and making dollars, that might not, be sustainable for too much longer, as the dollar or whatever currency keeps tanking, and the Mexican peso keeps getting stronger. And therefore, this is why I'm making these videos and talking about these topics, because you might actually have to start your own business or work for a Mexican company, or again, really have to integrate in order to survive. Otherwise, there's a bunch of other cheap, right, inexpensive countries you can go to that are not Mexico. To me, Mexico is turning more into a place for opportunity, a place to grow, a place to build, as opposed to just a place to, take it easy, retire, and do nothing. All right. So, and again, there's still going to be both of all that. There's still going to be a lot of, again, you can come out here to retire, chill, relax. You can be a surfer instructor, on the beach. You can, sell coconut water, on the beach. You can do whatever you want out here. That's the beauty of Mexico. But as Mexico grows, I see it, turning into a mega superpower, again, a major economic power. And I see a very similar path to kind of what we saw with China. But in Mexico, meaning, again, if you go back to China like 20 years ago, and fast forward to today, look at the massive, insane amount of growth. Now, imagine in a country that has very little government oversight. Like again, it's not a communist country. In fact, it's a very capitalist country in which, the government is, again, non-existent. It's the complete other end of the spectrum. So it's going to be an interesting experiment to see play out as well. Again, Mexico resembles more the USA than most countries out there. It's just that out here, they've kept, what made the USA, what our founding fathers made the USA, tried and true. They still kind of uphold a lot of those things out here. And that's why this makes Mexico so great and makes Mexico so awesome. And I love it out here so much. And I think a lot of you guys do as well. So with all that being said, all right, I want to give a big shout out to all my patrons out there, to all my members out there, to every single one of you guys. I do notice, because I watch the algorithms, I look at the stats, and I know that a lot of you guys have not subscribed yet. So what are you waiting for? If you watched all the way through, you're still watching right now, please subscribe. It's the least you can do. If I give you all this awesome information or entertainment or whatever, please do me that favor. That would be really nice of you. And with that being said, all the old subscribers, and all the new subscribers, whether you've been with me since day 0 or day 1 or yesterday, whenever, as long as you've been with me, again, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much to, again, all the old subscribers, all the OGs out there, all the new subscribers, every single one of you guys in between, all of you guys that have supported me through the years, supported me, through all these episodes, whether, again, you leave a like, you leave $5, you ask me a question to answer, whatever it is you do, shout out to you. I really appreciate you guys. I really appreciate every single one of you, the members, the patrons, every single one of you guys. You have no idea. You really do help a lot, with everything that you do. In fact, if it's not for you guys, I wouldn't be able to do what I do, and I would have to go start a business and do something else. But with all that being said, I want to just always say thank you, and I'm very appreciative and so thankful and happy for, being able to do what I do and being able to help so many of you guys in the process. And again, if you want to help me out, you don't got to do much, a simple like, a simple subscribe, a simple, comment down below, whatever, anything helps. Sharing the video helps a lot. So with all that being said, you already know the deal, guys. Time to wrap it up. So if you like this kind of content, all right, and you want to see more, don't forget to please like, please subscribe, please share, please hit the bell icon. But more importantly than anything else, please stay awesome. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys on Thursday or Sunday, or after this episode's over, you can watch another one by clicking on one of these things right here. All right. Thanks again for watching. Love you guys. Peace out. Bye.